It is getting close to Christmas time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That's right.
Yeah, and we need to get our Christmas cards out.
Yeah, you're right.
Richard and Vivian Dickerson have been happily married for 45 years. They have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. Richard spent 23 years in the Navy as a medical corpsman.
Depending on the circumstances, what kind of filters do we need? And that would depend on what it is we're taking pictures of and for.
He later ran his own photography business.
The name of the business was Frank's Photo.
But about 10 years ago, when Richard was in his mid-50s, Vivian says she felt something wasn't quite right with her husband.
I noticed some issues with remembering how to turn, how to get to certain familiar places.
Vivian says that sense of disorientation continued. Then in time, Frank could no longer handle the family's finances. He started forgetting appointments and couldn't recall recent conversations. In 2013, Frank got the diagnosis, Alzheimer's disease. Since then, Vivian has taken on much more responsibility.
Not only for our day-to-day operations, but also I have to oversee that he's taken his meds properly, that our finances are in order, that I have to know his whereabouts.
Alzheimer's disease is progressive, meaning it gets worse over time. Vivian says she can't go there.
I can't go for what if. I can plan some reasonable safeguards, and I just take it day by day.
The annual costs of caring for Americans with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia are estimated to top $150 billion. Alzheimer's occurs when a buildup of plaque and tangles damage and destroy nerve cells in the brain. There is no cure for it.
This is the back of the head, the top of the head, and it's really just a slice through the brain.
UC San Diego neurologist Michael Raffi treats hundreds of Alzheimer's patients in his La Jolla clinic. He says the current line of medications offers some relief from memory loss and confusion, but
they treat the symptoms, but they don't treat the underlying cause of the disease. So in some patients, they give benefit, but that benefit may not last for more than a couple of years.
Dr. Raffi says despite the enormous economic burden that Alzheimer's imposes on the country, there's not nearly enough money allocated for research.
So currently the annual budget for Alzheimer's disease research in the United States is about $500 million. The annual budget for cancer research is about $5 billion.
San Diego County officials want to help bridge that gap. County Supervisor Diane Jacob is leading a drive to raise millions of dollars for local Alzheimer's research and drug development. A number of big players in San Diego's scientific community have pledged to collaborate, including UCSD, the Salk Institute, and the Scripps Research Institute.
Clearly, they both involve the brain, they involve changes to the brain, they involve loss of neurons.
Neuroscientist Gerald Chun heads up the effort at Scripps. He oversees a team that's doing basic research into Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Chun says there's a lot we still don't know about the condition. For example, he says several genes have been identified that are linked to the inherited form of Alzheimer's. But that form only accounts for about 5% of all cases.
So that leaves 95% that are currently not well understood. And so there's a lot of interest in trying to identify new mechanisms that might be responsible for that larger population. It's given the name sporadic Alzheimer's disease. So this room contains some devices to look at fine molecular interactions between different molecules.
Chun's team is also trying to find targets for new drugs. They're using a custom-made array of lasers to aid in the search. The lasers help scientists get a better view of how different molecules interact. Chun explains Alzheimer's takes many decades to develop.
So somewhere along that path, there should be a time point, maybe a period of life that you can actually interrupt and do something. And the targets that you go after at those different points may vary. And so these are all things that I think are on the table and we need to understand.
But even if researchers identified a target tomorrow that led to a breakthrough therapy, it could take a decade or more for the new drug to reach the clinic. That would be too late for Alzheimer's patients like Richard Dickerson.
There's a little red dot there and a red dot here, and they should match up. Okay, and they do. There we go. What am I trying to think of? The film? The film, yeah. There we go.
But he isn't sitting around feeling sorry for himself.
I'm ready to go.
He hopes to enroll in one of the many clinical trials of Alzheimer's drugs. In the meantime, he's not going to let the disease stop him. Dickerson calls Alzheimer's the devil.
The devil's a liar. The devil says you can't do this and so on. He's a liar. It's not what God said. That's just how I see it.
Dickerson doesn't know how much time he has left. But when you think about it, none of us do. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.